Hey e-commerce marketing podcast listener, I wanted to let you know that we have created 16 e-commerce marketing videos for you. You can download these free videos by visiting ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/videos or by texting the word videos to +1 480 418 1411. These step-by-step video marketing tutorials will teach you how to drive more traffic to your e-commerce website, how to get more backlinks to your e-commerce website, and how to optimize your website to get more paid customers. Get the videos right now by visiting ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/videos or by texting videos to +1 480 418 1411. Welcome to the e-commerce marketing podcast. Today's guest is John Lee from Pigfu. Welcome to the podcast, John.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for having me on.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Pigfu?
Sure thing. My background is in technology and building web products. My partner and I have been building web businesses for over a decade now. We started Pigfu as a side project at first in order to help us get fast feedback on design decisions for some of our other projects. We had it on the back burner for a while, but other people discovered it, started using it. And so in the most recent 2 or 3 years, we decided to take Pigfu and start growing it and marketing it. And we've been pretty happy with its success so far.
Okay, so at first, were you guys like designers and that's why you needed the feedback, or why was feedback important to your main business and then you created this side project?
Sure. So we were actually the opposite. We were developers.
Okay.
And we would outsource the design. But a lot of times as developers, we wouldn't have a firm, it would be difficult to come to a clear conclusion on a certain design decision. So instead, we built Pigfu to get outside feedback to help us choose our designs, whether it's a background color or which image to use on a certain part of the website. We would turn to Pigfu and be able to get unbiased third-party feedback really fast to help us with our decisions.
Okay. And with the podcast, we usually talk about different marketing strategies that can help e-commerce businesses and any online business to profit and succeed. And I wanted to have you on mainly because I wanted to talk about feedback today and cover the topic of feedback. So can you tell us why feedback is important? We know it was important for you guys developing, but what about e-commerce businesses and any other businesses out there? Why is feedback important and the gathering of feedback?
Sure thing. So Pigfu is all about getting fast feedback. E-commerce businesses are one of our large and growing verticals on Pigfu. A lot of times e-commerce entrepreneurs use Pigfu to get feedback on things that would be difficult to get otherwise. Like, for example, getting feedback on what product to actually sell, or if they've chosen a product, what product image would look better in a product listing. These kinds of things are examples of feedback that are really important for e-commerce entrepreneurs to have, because otherwise you're potentially wasting money, right? If you're not getting feedback about your products, if you're not getting feedback about your listings, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money and you're not getting as many sales as you possibly could be. And the thing that we've really discovered with Pigfu is that the earlier you can get feedback in your process and in your positioning and in sort of honing your business, the less wasted time, effort, and money you're going to have, and the more success you'll end up having.
Okay, so are you just saying that from the get-go you want to build in feedback in your sales funnel, and even when you're providing support, etc., you want to be collecting feedback throughout? And there's software out there that you can use and different tools you can use out there, but what's like a good example you can give us of how feedback is getting collected and then is being used for value to make the business better?
Sure. So we've had one of our users. He was selling. Is a pretty well-known entrepreneur in the e-commerce space. He was selling napkin linens, and he realized that he was having a certain amount of sales with with one image of one of the napkin linens that he had. He tried Pigfu and he was able to ask 50 women which napkin linen image is more appealing to you in a product placement. And it turns out that it was a different image that was more attractive to the women. And they were able to write explanations and tell him exactly why they chose option B, linen image B, instead of linen image A. And he was able to switch his images, and he actually saw an increase in sales because of that. And so in that case, there's opportunity for feedback anywhere, even when you think that you have the perfect product. With the combination of perfect product and perfect product listing with the perfect product image, there's always opportunities to get feedback, testing different images, testing different listing keywords and descriptions, testing different product layout pages.
Okay. And now I kind of see how and understand feedback is important, but for an e-commerce business, how do they get started collecting feedback? What tools should they be using? Can you give us like an actionable step by step of what businesses need to do to start getting feedback and how to use that feedback?
Sure thing. So it depends on which stage of the business they're in. If you already have let's start at the beginning. If you are trying to decide on a product or name your product, or even just choose between, if you're drop shipping or importing and you're trying to choose between what products you're trying to order, then you could potentially use a tool like PickFu to put those potential products in front of a large third-party audience and have them give you feedback on which one would be more appealing to them. So for example, you could target women, you could target iPhone users, you can target like an older generation of people to give you feedback on, okay, between these products, these are the ones you could choose. If you already have products for sale, then obviously the easiest way to get feedback is through actual reviews from your customers who've actually purchased the product and given you feedback. But a lot of times you could argue that that's already kind of late in the game, because you don't want to risk putting products out there that potentially may or may not sell well. And Robert, I think you could speak much more to that about the different tools that you can use for gathering reviews. And there's tons of tools out there for that. And when you have product listing pages out, you can always optimize them using different surveying tools. There are things like, there's a tools out there, I believe the name escapes me right now. But
for getting different reviews?
Yeah, for getting different reviews.
Like Yotpo?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or you had the CEO of one of Seller Labs, I believe. I think they were also running services for gathering reviews and data, and that's also a great form of feedback as well.
Okay, so actually, to go back, I really appreciate you coming on, and I want to make sure that I got the understanding and also the audience understood how PickFu works. And right now, I'm kind of confused. So you mentioned like you can target different demographics. So is this within the PickFu platform? You go in there. Okay, so actually, yeah, I'm sorry and I apologize. Can you go back and just explain how PickFu works? I think I might have overlooked that or that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably should have gotten into that to begin with. PickFu is a polling platform. We have our own audience that responds to customers' polls. So anyone can come on PickFu and ask a question, put up a number of different creative options that they're considering. And within minutes, we can get anywhere between 50 to 1,000 responders to look at your options, choose which one they like better, and also do a written explanation as to why.
Okay.
So in the case of product photos, then not only would the e-commerce businessman know which photo the audience liked better, but they'll also understand why. Like maybe it's the color, maybe it's positioning, maybe it's the background. So it gives feedback for the user to go on and iterate and improve on their next step.
Okay. And can you also use PickFu's polling capabilities to actually poll your website visitors and your customers?
So currently you cannot, but that is a highly requested feature and it's something we're working on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we roll that out in the near future.
Okay. And what are some mistakes that you've seen that people make as far as getting back feedback? So we'll take a look at two scenarios. So first of all, we'll take a look at people who are using a system like PickFu and a polling system, what are some of the mistakes you've seen people make when they use this valuable tool and they're just using it in the wrong way, where they're not getting any value from it?
Okay. So one of the biggest mistakes that we've seen are that the users they're a little narrow in their focus when they are providing options. So a lot of times let's say, this is a real example, we had a customer who was looking to sell umbrellas, and he was polling different types of umbrellas that he could potentially order and sell on his e-commerce shop. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is that when you put two black umbrellas side by side and the only difference is maybe a small logo on the tag, you're not going to get a lot of very valuable feedback, because to you, there's a huge difference, but to an uninterested, unbiased third-party observer, it just looks like two black umbrellas, right? Mm-hmm. So the results of that poll will usually end up pretty closely tied. And a lot of times the customer will feel that, oh, well, it doesn't matter. But the ones who have gotten the best value from using tools like PickFu are ones who they'll run the umbrellas that are of different colors, but they'll also be running, you can also add in text describing the umbrella. So saying this is a windproof umbrella, like option A is a windproof umbrella selling at this price. Option B is a lightweight, larger umbrella selling at this price. Which one would you rather purchase and why? And the businessman who runs that kind of poll gets really valuable feedback from our audience.
Okay. And when you're running this poll, trying to get feedback, are you just showing pictures, or do you actually redirect them to go to the website and do some actions?
You can do either. So you write a prompt. You can either just upload photos. You can put in text, so like product descriptions and so on. You can upload video if you have video for products, or hosted on YouTube or Vimeo, and you can put in links to product pages. And we've had e-commerce entrepreneurs do all three.
Okay, and when you're getting this feedback from the respondents, are they recording themselves, or is it just like?
It's all written responses. Okay, so they are choosing the option or options that they like. They're choosing their most preferred option, and then they are writing an explanation as to why. So when you get the results back, you get a numerical vote. Let's say 300 out of 500 prefer option C, and then you also get 500 responses as to why a respondent voted one way or another, plus a demographic breakdown of who all the respondents were. So you can see whether, let's say, women preferred option A over option B, but men preferred B over A, and so on.
Okay. And for PickFu, when have you seen most e-commerce companies come to you? When do they need your service, you think? And what I mean is, I'm trying to figure out when's the best time for an e-commerce business to use a service like yours? Because some might be starting out, some might be big businesses, and sometimes you might want to get feedback, or you might be stumped at, okay, what direction do I want to take? Do I want this umbrella or this type of a napkin? But so it's like, when's the ideal time to be getting this type of feedback? And the only reason I'm asking is, with e-commerce businesses, there's a lot of things you're doing. There's a lot of priorities, and you always want to prioritize to make sure that you're spending your time in the thing that's going to be helping you grow your business, and you don't want to get distracted and just waste time.
The thing I usually tell other customers and also entrepreneurs is you want to be getting feedback often and as early as possible. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on where they are in their e-commerce journey. Basically, we have e-commerce entrepreneurs who are just starting, and so they'll use PickFu for choosing product on which products to sell. If they're already running a store, a lot of times they'll come on and just test different product images to make sure that just as a gut check, even if you already have a store up, even if you're already making sales and you have these product images on your listing pages, you can come on and still just do a quick gut check that, hey, is this really the best image that I have on my site, could there be a better one that might perform a little better? And the nice thing with a tool like PickFu is that it takes minutes, not hours, not days. So you could literally do it on your lunch break. And that's why I try to advise customers you don't have to do a lot of testing all at once. That takes up a lot of time. Instead, you should just be testing often to make sure that the assumptions that you have about your products, your product placements, your images, just make sure that they're correct, right? And the easiest way to do that is to ask other people.
Okay. Thanks, John, for being on the podcast. Any final thoughts?
I think I just gave my final thought. Get a lot of feedback, get it often.
Okay. And if people wanted to reach you or to use PickFu, where should they go? What's the website address?
Sure. The website address is PickFu. It's spelled PICKFU.com.
Okay. And the final question I usually ask is, what is the one thing you can tell an e-commerce business right now that they should be doing to grow their company? So whether it's getting traffic or getting leads or converting those leads to customers, what is the one thing you can tell an e-commerce business that they can do right now that's going to help them get there?
This is something that we've experienced recently ourselves. It's really know your customer and talk to them. We've gone on a recent customer listening tour. It's opened our eyes and it corrected a lot of assumptions about where we thought our business was. And I believe that applies to any entrepreneur. If you really know your customer and you really get feedback, and you understand them, then all the decisions that you make will be much better for them and for your business.
Thanks for being on the podcast, John.
Thanks, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the e-commerce marketing podcast. Join the e-commerce marketing podcast Facebook group to learn, connect, collaborate, and grow with other e-commerce marketers at ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/FB. ecommercemarketingpodcast.com/FB. Subscribe to us on iTunes by searching for e-commerce marketing podcast, and please leave a rating and a review. Thank you for listening. See you next time.